Hello, how are you? I hope you're good. So today I'm talking about slumps. Reading slumps. The worst things that can happen to a reader. Obviously in the world it's a minor, teeny tiny, but for a reader that can be really annoying, really demotivating, and just in general a very sort of frustrating state to be in. So this video has been actually quite requested for a long time, and I had it all planned and everything, and then somehow just it got pushed by other videos and I kept forgetting, but we are here now. Hopefully I can help you out a little bit if you are dealing with a reading slump, or if you've been in a reading slump, or if you're anticipating on being in a reading slump again. Now obviously those are just my tips and insights and what I think slumps are, what causes it, and how to deal with it. So you might be asking, what is a reading slump? Reading slump is basically a state where you just can't seem to be either motivated to read, or you really want to read, but for some reason your interest doesn't stay in the book and you just can't find what to read and you don't know what is happening because you want to read but you can't. Like, you physically try so hard but you can't. I've separated this video into 4 parts. So basically, first I'm gonna mention why I think they happen. Secondly, I'm gonna mention my personal main solutions and ways to battle a slump. And thirdly, I'm gonna mention what I think is a key for prevention of a slump, because really we would just rather not be in a slump to begin with, right? Oh no, come on. 4th part of the video is me recommending some books that helped, that were hard to put down or were like easy, enjoyable reads for me. I think there are 3 main types of the slumps. First, it's just overburn. You had a really good couple of months and you went and read and you like basically disregarded every other hobby part of your life and you just kept on going. And you had a good high, but now you're just in the low. You simply cannot pinpoint why you're not able to read more, but you're just burnt out, like exercise or other things that other people do when they go outside. For people who stay inside, more often than not, it's the reading and the slump that follows, because the brain is also a muscle. It's not. That's why a lot of readathons actually put on slumps. I can definitely see a lot of people having slumps after hours and news, and I do as well. Sometimes the highs are worth it because it's so fun, and also if you take care during the readathon and your prints of reads, you might actually just have a nice line going and not experience a slump, but you know. Second type is just purely motivation, not getting enough of enjoyment of the books that you're reading. You had an unfortunate series of very much meh books. Maybe you actually did not finish some, maybe you actually tried to finish a book that you really should have DNF, and now you just don't have the energy to try another one and nothing seems to fit because it's just meh all over. Overall, very frustrating. You're disappointing in reading, although you want to continue. You just have a complicated love-hate relationship with reading at the moment. And the third book slump is a book hangover, which is like you read an amazing book and nothing can possibly compare, so why even try? I hope that you are familiar with this, because it would mean that you read something extremely extraordinary. It does mean that literally it seems like you just want to be in that universe. Nothing will ever compare. But yeah, so I think those are the 3 main types. The main solution to any type of slump for me is to just not read. I know, crazy. Do not call the reading police. If you don't feel like it, just don't force yourself. The more you force yourself when you don't feel like it, the less you're gonna enjoy it. I know, it's a crazy idea. Seriously, wait it out. You are going to start missing reading, and that is when you should come in. It's like a natural cycle with any type of hobby that you have. There's, as I said, gonna be highs and lows, and just living through the low, find other things to do instead of when you would be reading. Next thing you know, you're gonna wake up and you're gonna be like, you know what I really feel like doing? Reading. Ta-da! Solved. But the following solutions are for the people who hit that note of I actually really genuinely want to read, but it just ain't happening. So there's no like actual miracle cure, but these are the things that I genuinely find helpful. First is to actually try and to get back to reading through other mediums. So for me, TV shows work best. I try to get excited for a story instead of getting excited for a book. first because it's just a like more low-key reading, you know, you're just consuming a story by watching it. It doesn't require you reading it, which is, whilst enjoyable, still sort of like more draining than watching something. But you can watch some good shows and get excited about consuming stories and then go back to reading. I think that really works. Number 2 is similarly trying to consume stories in different than usual ways. I'll come back to that. Or reread something that you know is brilliant, plus an extra points if you do that in a different format. So let's say, hypothetically, I read Harry Potter back to back for like 50 times. Hypothetically, you know that this is a book that you enjoy, but in a slump you might actually just be too tired of that. Consume that or another reread or even just a new book in a different way than your normal way. For a lot of people that might be audiobooks. Now I know audiobooks are not for everybody, but trust me, even if you struggle to pay attention to that, struggle to keep up with the book during the slump and just like, you know, mentally just drift off, that's why I'm saying go for reread. So for example, when I put Harry Potter on, for half of the time I might be completely out of it. It won't matter because I literally know those books like by heart at this point. But even if it is the second time of you reading that book, it's not gonna matter that much because you're already ready, you know what's gonna happen, you know. So it's a good thing to like keep your mind going, but even if you're not at 100%, you still like consume a story. Do you know what I mean? And audiobooks can be really fun and very different type of consumption of a story that is still a book format. This doesn't just apply to people who don't usually listen to audiobooks. If you do, that's still a really good tip to just go for a reread an audiobook, especially if your other reread was a physical book. Smoothly segueing into today's sponsor. I am actually so pumped to be working with Scribd again. I've done a sponsorship with Scribd before and there's a reason why I'm working with them again. I have fallen in love with this service so much. This is an audiobook platform. You get unlimited access. There's no like credit system, you just get unlimited access to everything they have to offer. Sorry, I had to put the blinds out because the sun is like very annoying. So you're not limited to one or a few books per month. Literally save and listen to however many you want for a fee that is even lower than platforms like Audible. So Scribd actually only costs $8.99. If you haven't tried Scribd yet, I highly recommend it. Even if you don't know if this is gonna be for you, I have good news then, because I have a link for a 30-day free trial for you guys to check it out. The book that I've chosen to recommend this time is Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue. It was such a fun, non-committal, yet like still very engaging audiobook. The narrator does such a good, fun job out of it. You can get a 30-day free trial with the link down below. Really highly suggest you check them out. Thank you so much to Scribd for sponsoring this video and working with me again, and by doing that, supporting this channel. Really appreciate it. Okay, so moving on from the audiobooks, number 3 is to try something out of your comfort zone. I know that sounds like even more effort than your normal reading, but actually you would be surprised. It's something more engaging, it's less repetitive than what you usually read, because whichever genre that it is your favorite that you always gravitate towards, no matter how diverse the reading is, it's always gonna have a very similar story structure no matter how people try, because like there's nothing original in the world. But it is a really nice change to try something else. Fourth part of the video is me recommending some books that were hard to put down or were like easy, enjoyable reads for me. And most of them were actually contemporary books, which is a genre that I read very little of, but apparently I need it when I feel sort of like a slump coming on, because I know I'm gonna consume that quicker. It's an easy genre for me to read because I usually read fantasy or sci-fi, which includes a lot of thinking, because obviously it's set in a world that is different. But if you're used to something completely different from like thrillers or something, try that. Try and see if it's more engaging, and you'll come back to your usual reading type. But it's very fun to experiment, just refresh. Make sure to break the habit. Number 4 might sound ridiculous and very nerdy, and it is, but again, it's just about making it more exciting. So make it an experience. Schedule yourself a book date. I know. No, but seriously, like set a time, set a place, set a meal, and set it a few days before so you have something to really look forward to. Like make it an experience. Maybe do something special, maybe build a bloody fort, I don't know, you know, something cool to look forward to. Hype it up in your mind. There's a reason a lot of people buy hyped books, because there's this anticipation. Build that with the book that you already have by building an environment that is different and making it an event, and literally just have that, I don't know, 3-hour, 2-hour date with the book. Number 5 is just basically get infected by excitement of other people. The best thing to do, I think, is to either go on blogs or go onto YouTube videos and search for people's favorite books, like top 10, top 5 favorite books of all time videos and articles, because excitement rubs off and people are so excited and so full of love for reading and full of love for their favorite things when they're talking about their favorite books. And I think it really could just, you know, get off screen and flow in through you. Because you know, when you watch someone smiling, you don't even always notice, but you start smiling yourself. So it's the same kind of thing, you know, just share the love. And lastly, number 6 is to surround yourself with books. Go to a bookstore. Literally just go to a bookstore to peruse, even if you don't feel like reading. And the best part is that you don't even have to buy anything. It's literally the vibe of being surrounded by all the stories and excitement and new things. And if you buy something, great. If you don't buy anything, that's also fine, but it might just make you want to read something when you come back. And then my core message for preventing slumps is actually just to mix it up. Do not go into this like comfy zone. Throw in a comic book, throw in a manga. Even if you don't like them, if you like them, great, that's even easier. But even if you're not the biggest fan, you might be, you don't know, like there might be one that's like really speaks to you. And make sure to leave yourself enough time to watch something. Even if you have that high, sometimes if you have variety, it's still fresh. You still have to keep your mind down, like on its toes. And ooh, that's a grim image. Okay. You get my point. Now, to me, what gets me out of the slump is reading a book and reading it quickly, feeling like you don't want to put it down. And surprisingly enough, those are usually not my favorite books, because my favorite books are usually very immersive and they require quite a lot of effort, because it's usually high fantasies or sci-fis. To me, the cures are like nice and easy, so they're not necessarily like the most brilliant books in my opinion, but there's something that was fun for one reason or another. So I'm gonna very quickly go through a few books that I felt could really be a step forward to going away from your slump. So the first book is obviously The Gentleman's Vice to Vice and Virtue, which, as I said, is gonna be linked below for a free version of audiobook from Scribd. This is a very fun story about this basically rich boy getting to travel around the world, but it's actually a fantasy, but it reads like a or listens to as a contemporary. He falls in love with his best friend and actually has a representation not only for gay people but also for this physical illness that I never see, and it's something that my sister has. And so I really appreciate that little detail. I don't want to really say it because it's not really a spoiler, but it's not really like not a spoiler, so I'd rather not risk it. They basically get in so much trouble because he can be quite annoying, the main character, but and you have this really kick-ass strong female character that just like wants to break all of the rules that are set by society for women in that time, because this is like 17 or 1800s. Really recommend for nice fun slump cure. Then for some comics, I would actually recommend Giant Days. Again, nothing that really like blew my mind, but it was so easy and enjoyable to read. It's just about friends moving to university with like very relatable troubles and issues, and it's just so easy, and it gives you that productive feeling after you finish it. And it's a graphic novel, like a comic, so it's not gonna take you a while. It's perfect. Another one I want to talk about, and that is Simon versus the Homo sapiens agenda. I love this book so much. It gave me all the feels. It was so sweet and adorable. Our main characters are cinnamon rolls. There's one exception, Leia, who got a different book, separate book for her, and we'll talk about that later. But this book was so adorable and I enjoyed it so much. It's just so heartwarming, and the best part, I just couldn't put it down. Very similarly, we have Eliza and Her Monsters. This is actually about anxiety, but Eliza and Her Monsters was another one that I just couldn't put it down. It's actually about anxiety, but it's also about this girl who secretly runs this comic blog, and she's extremely well known and popular. She basically has like a Harry Potter size of a fandom, and there's a guy who moves to the school, and he's the biggest fan of her work, but he doesn't know that it's hers, and you can guess sort of where this is going, but I actually shed a tear in that one, so which says a lot because I don't cry in books. I just thought it was very well written in some places, and it was so easy and enjoyable to read, although it touches upon like important topics, but it was still so fun. Speaking of fun, we have Everything, which is actually about a girl who's allergic to everything in the world. For some people this had some issues about the representation of homebound people, because it was fairly like light and unproblematic in that it just wasn't really realistic, but what this book was, it was funny and it was so easy to read and hard to put down. There's this like mystery going on, and there's another like, it was funny. What I remember now from this book, because it's been a while, it was that I was laughing, and the main character is very sarcastic and witty, and sure, it had problems, but I also couldn't put it down. So there we are. Now for a book that is not a contemporary is Dark Matter, and this is actually sort of like a thriller about a guy who gets kidnapped out of his own life and then has to try and get it back. This is a sci-fi, and I can't really tell you why because it's a massive spoiler, but again, couldn't put it down. This one was one of the books that because of the intrigue and because of the theme, I really like the theme, I couldn't put it down. It was so good for me. I know it's not for everyone, like every book ever, but I just like, I literally stayed up so late because of this, and I woke up. This is how you know that you really want to read a book, because that is like some next level engagement. If you wake up like an hour earlier on a Saturday just to read this, like that's how good it was for me. Another one that is quite a fun one, maybe there's also a theme for that, is Off to Be a Wizard, and this was also an audiobook for me, and it's basically he finds a code to control time and present. So he basically could write in this code, if he makes an adjustment, he can make money appear in his bank, and that is what he tries to do, and then gets in a massive amount of trouble. So then he adjusts the code and travels back in time into this medieval England, I think, and pretends to be a wizard because he can now write this code and do like things like pretend to levitate and stuff. And soon he realizes that he might not be the only one doing this, and he's basically stuck in that time, and it's just for fun, that one, but it was fun to read. And then lastly we have The Forgetting, which is actually a fantasy, but it's a dystopian one. At first I thought that I didn't like it, which is really weird because the more time passes, the more I like this book, and I'm gonna try and get the second one as well and read it at some point. I don't know why I thought that I didn't like it. It's such a weird, I don't know, it's weird. The Forgetting is about a society where every couple of years your memory is wiped, but you have to keep up this diary and write everything that is happening, and that diary is always attached to your body, and whatever you write in that diary, that's how you remember what you are and what you've gone through. But obviously if someone messes up with that diary, like maybe the government or something, then obviously after when they wipe the memory, you're not gonna remember that. So it's a very interesting sort of setting, and this is about obviously people who like fighting that forgetting thing, and it was intriguing again, and it was nice to listen. It was again an audiobook. So yeah, those are my recommendations for if you are very similar to me in reading style. I hope those points are somewhat useful. Let me know what is the book that you would recommend for a really nice read that's like that you could barely put down and you think people would really benefit from this if they're in a slump. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Chat to me down in the comments. I really want to see your answers to this one. Hope the slumps are rare for you and you don't suffer from them often. Thank you so much for watching. Stay awesome, stay kind, and I'll see you soon. Bye!